Hi guys, anybody there? This is my first live stream. I'm popping on to talk to you guys about your young ones starting school. Let me give you a little background about myself. My name is Stacy Chong Tam. I am a special education teacher. I've been teaching for 6.5 years in self-contained classrooms. I currently work with students with autism in the pre-K setting. That means I work with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, children going into kindergarten. I previously worked with students who have intellectual disabilities, so Down syndrome, traumatic brain injuries. We had some students with autism, those types of disabilities. So I've worked with a wide variety of children with special needs. That was also in the elementary setting, but first, second, and third grade. I have a 2-year-old son myself. I know many of you have young children in this group, and he is potentially a little speech delayed, but we are working with him a lot on his language and building those skills. I wanted to pop on here and talk to you guys. I've been reading a lot of your posts and seeing some of your comments, and I've been trying to make sure I comment and give advice if I have anything to add. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask me. Working in a pre-K classroom, I see a lot of young children come into me. This last year, I received 3 3-year-olds in the span of 2 months, and some of the concerns that the parents have are that the child is very young and they're worried about them being at school for 6 hours and it's very difficult for them. But what I've come to learn is that it just becomes routine for them. My classroom is very structured. We don't do how normal pre-K classrooms might have a little bit more free reign. The kids can kind of pick their own free choice. My classroom does it. I do it more structured, so they work one-on-one with aides and with myself. I try to make it very language rich. I have lots of I pick 2 typical peers for my class that have a lot of language, and that modeling for them is amazing. I have had a lot of success with students having very little language to working with these kids that have more language, and they start to develop the language a lot quicker. We also have PECs available that we use. I utilize the iPad for not Proloquo, but there are other apps that are out there. And if you're curious about any of those, please feel free to ask. But in my experience, early childhood and early intervention is very, very crucial. It helps these children learn and develop. They learn and develop a lot in early childhood. In my previous position, I had a 2nd grade child come to me who did not know a lot. She had no early childhood experience at all. She came to me at the end of 1st grade. It was a month left of school. She had no learning to learn behaviors. She had no knowledge of school whatsoever. So it made it challenging because the other students in my class had been in school since 3 years old. They had the exposure, so I didn't have to teach them how to sit. Whereas when a child comes in, later on, they don't know, especially if they have intellectual disability or speech or some kind of delay. She didn't have the basic learning to learn skills that a lot of students get in the early childhood program. My program, I also focus, even though we focus a lot on communication and behavior, we also try to tie it with the academics, so that way they are still learning. They're still working on important skills. We tie the communication to the academics, have them saying words and all those sorts of things. We also have work on counting and work on writing, and the standards, at least for Nevada, are lower for early childhood, but we try to set them up for success when they go into kindergarten, so that way they are a little bit above the curve, and they can have that focus on behaviors if necessary, instead of just focusing on the academics. So we also, in early childhood, there's a lot of social interaction. So they're with each other all day, especially when they're in an autism program. It's a full day program, which sounds like it's a long time. And one of the concerns that some of the parents had is, oh, my son needs a nap. Well, that's okay, because in the beginning, it is a long time. So if they were to fall asleep, then they fall asleep. And as time goes on, they grow out of it. They really do. I had one student that was sleeping like every single day, and then he just stopped. He was able to manage to get through the day, and then every once in a while, maybe he needed to take a little nap after we went outside or something. But it's very beneficial for them to have this exposure, to have this experience. It really sets them up for kindergarten. I have had several kids over the last 2 years that went to kindergarten, and I actually put them in a regular general education class, kindergarten class, and with just resource pull-out or push-in, depending on what their needs were, just speech. And one of the students was actually exited from special education this last school year, which the parents were so thrilled about. And I'm not saying that's every case, but it's possible, having that experience, that exposure is just, it's really crucial for their development at such a young age. And if there's any questions, if you have any questions or concerns or anything you would like my opinion on, please feel free to comment or message me or anything. Unfortunately, no one's really viewing me right now, but I am always available if you need anything. Please feel free to ask. I am trying to look through your comments and see and give my input. Like I said before, I saw a comment earlier about someone asking if their child could grow out of a speech delay, and I really like some of the comments were saying it really depends on the child. I had sat in several meetings this last year that were exit speech meetings, that the speech pathologist was able to exit the child before they went into middle school, which is really great. It just really depends on the child. It depends on the speech pathologist that's working with them, their teachers, even their parents to a certain degree. If you are so motivated to get their speech up, by all means, like, continue working with them and just immersing them in language, taking them to the store and talking about everything that's around you. I know that's like a huge concern. Like, parents ask, like, what can I do at home? And just what I try to do is, my son might not understand me, but I'm talking him through everything I'm doing. Oh, you want juice? Juice. Look, juice, juice, juice. Say the word over and over and over and over again. Label that item, and eventually it starts to stick, you know. I heard once from one of my speech pathologists that, you know, it takes our kids like 250 times, hearing the word 250 times a day to really get the word to stick. So if you're just constantly like repeating and just talking to them and just immersing them in that language at home, it's huge. Flashcards, reading the book and having them, even if it's a book that they've heard 100 times, like pointing to different things in the pictures and just getting that exposure to those words and that language. I see I have a few people watching. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Like I was saying before, I do work with students the pre-K setting. So if you are concerned about your child starting pre-K and this coming next month, like, just try it. Like, I know sometimes they might cry, but they don't keep crying. Like, I had a kid crying, but once mom was gone and we went inside, he was fine. So, and don't be sad if they don't cry. They really do miss you and they get excited at the end of the day when they see you. They just might not always understand, like, that social part. But please feel free to ask me any questions that you have. I will try to answer them to the best that I can. I have a great speech pathologist and occupational therapist that I work with, and they're really good about helping me get resources. So if you have any questions about any kind of resources, please reach out. I can try to reach out and get back to you as quickly as I can. But so how do I support parents who aren't interested in taking their kids to school? I try to really get them involved and try to invite them into the classroom and have them see like some of the things that we're doing. Have them just, I actually had a parent that was worried about her child starting school and worried about him crying and all this stuff. And then she got to see him during field day and she realized, like, oh, okay, wait, this is actually really great, you know? And just include them in the day. It just really helps. And when they tried to talk to me about half day, because I've had that as well, like, they want to bring their kid to school, but they're not sure if they want their kid to be there the whole day. And I try to just tell them, just bring them in and let's see how they do. And if they have a hard time, then we'll go from there. But usually they they adjust really well, and it's not a big deal at all. But yeah, I try to get them included, get them involved, bring them in the classroom. I had one parent actually briefly observe my classroom before her child started, so that way she could see some of the stuff that was going on. And her son wanted to stay that same day, but that wasn't his official start date, and it just gives them a little bit of peace of mind. With the kids program, I also have one family day a month, and I try to invite the parents in to either come and meet with me to ease their mind, or if not meet with me, then I like to do like a Thanksgiving feast activity when the kid is already at school, and have the parents come in and see them interacting with their peers, and it's really great. It's really fun, and it helps with those parents who aren't as interested in their kids starting school early. Any other questions? Please feel free to message me. Like I said, if you aren't sure, if you're still worried about like your kids starting school or anything like that, please feel free to private message me. I'm okay with that. I'll get back to you. I always have my phone on me, so I'm always available to talk if you really need to talk. So anything else? Like I said, I'm always available. I'm trying to read through everybody's comments or posts that they're making, and just give my opinion if I have anything to include. But feel free to reach out. Like I said, I have experience with younger students with autism, as well as the little bit older students with intellectual disabilities. Also, some of my schedules and routines in my classroom, like I said before, my classroom is very structured. So we don't have free reign roaming centers, because that can be very, very difficult for children with autism, because they need that structure their routine. So I have 3 teacher-led centers, and then I had this last year I had 2 iPad centers, where the kids would either be doing something like 5 to 7 minutes of YouTube Kids on one set, or they would be doing an more academic driven app on another set of iPads. And I usually chose that, and I lock them in so they can't just be roaming and going to YouTube Kids, because they all like that. But the YouTube Kids is more of a free center where they can kind of have a break from everything, We try to do centers 2 to 3 times a day, depending on how things go. And sometimes they're shorter centers, sometimes it's longer centers. And then we do like a couple of times where we go outside. During one time we go outside with kindergarten. My kids love it, because they're out there with bigger kids. They're willing to, especially when they're higher, they like it because they get to play with those kids and they really enjoy it. But we also have, so with my aides are very I have great assistants in my classroom, and they're very good with the bathroom routine. So we've had several kids that started in diapers, and we get them out of diapers as quickly as we can based on their developmental level. Some are not quite ready right away, but we do what we can with potty training, and with lunch, they're always with somebody. So when they go to lunch with my 2 aides. My kids are usually very well behaved in the lunchroom, which is really nice, especially when admin is usually the ones out in there looking, and they know the routine, and they sit, they eat their meal, they're, and in the beginning of the year, we focus a lot more on rapport, building that schedule, that routine with them. So the first week of school might look kind of crazy, but it's more just getting that routine set for them. Our centers are more like 3 minutes. It sounds so short, but we'll do 3 minutes, and we're just doing like simple like matching or do this, what you call like nonverbal imitation routine, just to build that rapport with the child. And after 1 week of that, usually we can start our normal academic centers the next week. And if we can't, then we do another week. It just depends. And yeah, they this last year was really great. Every morning we did a fine motor activity. My kids sat at the table. Everyone was cutting. I know that's scary for parents to hear that their 3-year-old was cutting, but my kids were cutting and using scissors, and we were just developing a lot of skills in those. We try to develop as much skills in our routine as we can. But going back to school, be ready for a tired kid. Especially if your child's never been in school before. It's not like we don't put a lot of demands, but it is exhausting. Like even for an adult, going back to work on Monday is always tiring. So be ready to just like when they come home, maybe let them unwind a little bit before you put a lot of extra stress on them. Like I said, especially if they haven't been in school before, just because it can be a lot to take in. It's a lot of change, and be patient. Definitely be patient, because it is a lot of change, and we have to figure out your kid, especially if it's a new teacher, it's a new school, it's new, everything is new. Like, we have to learn your kid, and your kid has to learn us. So be patient. Like I said, let them come home and maybe unwind. I know you probably have like this routine set in place, but let them unwind. Give them 5 to 10 minutes even, just to decompress. Because I know for myself, I need to do that when I get home, especially the first week of school. And I would say be patient. That would be, because you might see behaviors, like I said, a lot of change, and reach out to your teacher, if there's an open house, go to open house. In this program, I've had most of my parents go to open house, so that I know the kid before they start school. But before, I've had parents, they don't go to open house. These kids are brand new to me. I don't know them. The parent doesn't know me. I don't meet them till IEP meeting. So open house is before school starts. Go to open house, meet your kid's teacher. Let your teacher, the kid's teacher, get a picture of your child before they start school. So we're not just, it's difficult when you don't know the children prior to starting school, but we all make it work. So if you have any other questions, concerns, anything, please reach out to me. And if you're watching this after, please put a comment on there, and I will go back and look and view it and answer anything that I missed. And yeah, hold on 1 second. I really enjoy working with the pre-K level, because you can do a lot more fun crafty type things and get them exposed to more things that are, they get to do a lot more fun stuff. Hello, Camilla. Hi, Camilla, you're joining us late. Do you have any questions or concerns? But if you are watching, like I said, if you watch the playback and you have any questions, please feel free to message me. I'm available. And like I said, when school starts, take them to school. It'll be great. They'll do fine. I promise they'll do fine. They might cry, but they always stop. Like I said, they always stop. They don't keep crying all day. Like I said, be patient with them when school starts, because it's a lot of change. It's be patient and give them time just to unwind and decompress, just like you would need to do if you came home from back to work. So yeah, feel free to message me or ask any questions or anything, and hopefully I get to do this again. Okay, bye guys.